25,000 years ago, in the Laussel region of France, somebody carved this fish into the ceiling of a rock shelter. There's prehistoric shelters, artefacts and artwork all along these cliffs. This one's the Abri du Poisson, where our fish was found in the late 19th century. It's unique because not many fish exist in cave art, probably about 4 or 5. The purpose behind it isn't known, but there must be a reason for its existence. This was no small undertaking to carve a metre-long fish in a ceiling. Well, here's an idea. What if it's not a real fish? What if it represents something else? I created this series to demonstrate the striking resemblance between cave art and the landscape that it's found in. In this video, I'll be showing 3 caves that are local to each other and showing them matched up to Google Earth. So let's get on with it. Okay, so here we are at the Abri du Poisson, and I'm going to move out slowly. Remember, we're looking for a big salmon shape in the landscape. Maybe you can see it. It's about 1 or 2 kilometres from the cave site, and it's linked by a river. I tend to find that if the artwork's just a single piece, then it tends to be very close by and very easy to see. And as you can see, this hill here, and I think this is what the cave art's referring to. Did they really just randomly carve a fish into a ceiling right next to a hill that's exactly the same shape? If I overlay the fish, you can see how perfectly it fits. Even the details down the centre of the fish match up, and those little dashes above it correspond with the crest of a hill. The hill is about 2 miles long, and while it's not visible from the ground, our cavemen were master navigators, and I believe this is how they found their way about. They discovered shapes in the landscape and made them into landmarks, especially big ones that weren't going to be going anywhere for thousands of years. And doing so would actually have been extremely useful for them, because not only can you visualise the landscape easier this way, you can verbalise it. You can tell somebody where to go. Explaining to somebody we are camped on the gill of the great salmon will allow them to instantaneously visualise where you are. Now, you can actually go and visit the Abri du Poisson. However, visitor numbers are controlled, and there's a good reason for this. If you notice, there's a rectangle around the fish. That's not actually part of the original composition. That's because not long after its discovery in about 1912, thieves came in the night and tried to chip it out of the rock. Luckily for us, they were disturbed and ran away, but they very nearly got the fish, and it would have been worth a considerable amount on the black market. The fish appears to be chasing a smaller shape in the landscape, and this also has a rock shelter attached to it, where a very famous mammoth tusk carving was found. This rock shelter's called the Abri du Poisson. I'm so sorry about my French. So what was found? Well, none other than this, the Venus Inpudique, the immodest Venus. She was the first Venus ever found in Europe in about 1894, and unlike most Venuses, she's very thin and young looking. That's very unusual for a Venus, but it makes a lot of sense if she's actually an effigy of the landscape. Placing a tracing of the Venus over the cave site suddenly gives context as to why she exists and why she's shaped the way she is. So now we have our salmon and the Venus Inpudique in place. And remember, you couldn't see this from the ground. It must have existed in the mind's eye. An easy to remember visual representation of the landscape. There's so many caves in this region that I haven't actually covered them all yet. So we're just going to focus on one more, and that's the Laussel Venus, also thought to be about 25,000 years old. As you can see, she's very mysterious. She's an unusually shaped woman holding up a horn, a cornucopia, and on the horn there's 13 notches. You can also see that she was at one point painted bright red with ochre. Like many Venuses, her face is featureless and is depicted here turning to the left. Is it a calendar? Does it signify the moon and the seasons? Is it about womanhood? What could it possibly mean? The Abri de Laussel is very close to the Chateau de Laussel and very near to Cat Blanc rock shelter, which I haven't done yet. That one's complicated, but feel free to have a go if you'd like to. When ancient peoples walked this landscape 25,000 years ago, these wobbly, curvy valleys reminded them of the big woman. As for the horn she's holding, it corresponds with a V-shaped valley that can be found up here. And I know that's a little disappointing that it's actually just a ditch. But the good thing about this theory is that it doesn't actually supersede anybody else's theory. This could still be a woman holding up an important object. She may be a mythical being that now has a place in the landscape and perhaps has stories told about her. So when we put all of these caves together, the Abri du Poisson, Venus Inpudique and the Laussel Venus, you can see that it's starting to form a really interesting picture. I think this is the image that they carried in their mind's eye to represent the landscape, and that this is how they found their way about. Well, I hope you all like this video of some lesser known caves and how they relate to the landscape. I will be continuing to do these. As you can see from the map, there's tons to get through, and so many of them match up. People are welcome to do this themselves. It's an experiment you can do at home. Are the experts wrong about cave art? Is this not fertility magic, not shamanic rituals, but actually something very, very practical? Please like and subscribe, and again, big thanks to Don's Maps and the Wendell Collection for all of these wonderful pictures and information about the caves.